Alright, here's how you add a laser sight to your Maverick Nerf gun. You see I've got the laser sight right above the barrel right here. It is activated by pulling the trigger just a little bit. You pull that trigger back ever so slightly, and you get your laser sight, and then you can finish pulling the trigger to fire your shot. It consists of the laser pointer in the front, a momentary push button connected to the trigger, 3 AA batteries into the handle of the gun, and a charge port for charging it. Here's how it's done. It's been a little while since I've done this, so I'll just show you how I did it. You can see the laser pointer up here. This is a laser pointer that has been removed out of its housing. Do it however you need to do it, Dremel tool or otherwise. What you'll be left with is the optics and the circuit board. You'll want a rubber grommet of some sort to support the front in a flexible manner, but secure. And for the back, I used a piece of scrap plastic that I carved out into this shape, and then cut a slit in the bottom to fit the circuit board in, and super glued the back of it in. We'll hold the back of the laser pointer in a nice and secure position. You cut a horizontal slot into the top of the housing of the gun here on both sides, and this way you can adjust this piece of plastic, this plastic tab, after you've got this gun put back together. You can adjust this plastic tab up, down, left, right, until you've got it sighted in just perfectly, and then you put a little dab of super glue on that tab to attach it to the housing, and it will hold your position. At that point, then you can snip off the tab. I did have to do quite a bit of dremeling to do this mod. I dremeled out a good amount of area behind the sight here. I ended up dremeling out 1 screw post. So you won't be able to put a screw back in there. It holds up pretty tight though, especially if you tighten up this screw and that one. It'll hold pretty well. I haven't had any problems. The wiring I used for this, I just use a floppy cable. I stripped a couple of the wires off of the rest of them, soldered them to the appropriate contact points on the laser pointer, and then used my Dremel cutoff bit to cut through some of the ribs on this side of the gun to make room for that wire. You can super glue it down if you really care enough to. Here you can see the charge point, sort of the junction for all of the wiring here in the gun. Here's that momentary push button switch. This momentary push button switch you can buy at Radio Shack. I bought mine there. And you can wedge it in between the post and the guard and just tighten down this nut there. It tightens it down pretty well. Now I did snip off the top of that button and left just the stem, as you can probably see here. And it still leaves enough to where that part of the trigger will depress that button. This is a normally closed button. That means that right now, with that button depressed, it is open. The circuit is open. There's no electricity flowing. When I pull this off, the button releases, and now it makes contact, and your laser sight is going. Okay? This is a little bit backwards from most switches. Then, I've got the battery, the wires coming down to the batteries. I've got 3 batteries crammed in here. I had to Dremel out some of the area in here, and just got it snug in between these 2 posts there. We've got 2 batteries vertical, 1 horizontal. They are all hooked in series to make 4.5 volts to drive your LED in your laser sight. So these batteries are much, much larger than anything that would have been the little button batteries in the laser sight originally. So this will be a lot more power. This will last a lot longer at a fuller charge. However, eventually you will need to charge it, and so when you plug this in, You can use any universal power charger, universal power adapter. I bought this one from Walmart, I believe, and it was about 10 bucks. And you set it on 4.5 volts. It'll come with a bunch of different little barrel adapters. You pick one that fits best inside this barrel adapter here. And there you go. There is no circuitry in this to prevent you from overloading these batteries or giving too much voltage. Make sure that you charge it only with 4.5 volts, and make sure that you stick around, because those batteries are going to get warm. The handle of that gun is going to get warm, and after they get warm for a little bit, you definitely want to unplug it. So don't blame me if you burn your house down. Just watch it when you're charging. Anyways, as to the wiring, I have a little diagram put up on the whiteboard to sum it up for you. As you can see, we've got the 3 batteries here. They're hooked in series. And then you have a positive lead coming from the battery pack and a negative lead. Both of those leads must go to the positive and negative of your charge port. That's how it charges. Then you can take one lead off of your charge port. I've got the negative here. Doesn't really matter which. And running to the negative side of the negative contact of your laser pointer. The positive contact of your laser pointer then goes to the momentary switch, and then comes from the momentary switch back down to the charge port. This allows that momentary switch to interrupt the flow of electricity to your laser pointer. So that way, when this is closed, it closes the circuit between the batteries and your laser pointer. When this is open, or rather when it's depressed, then it will open the circuit and it will stop the flow of electricity to your laser pointer. Well, that's pretty much it. Again, here's the final product. Got a little laser pointer up in the top, charge port at the bottom. There's that little slit up at the top that I used to sight this in. I had a little tab there, and I sighted it in, glued the tab down to the housing, and cut it off. There you go.